A young boy is eating at a restaurant when suddenly his chair starts floating in the air. His mother quickly stabilizes the chair with her leg to stop it from rising. The boy name is Kim, has the ability to float because his body becomes lighter whenever he gets emotional. His mother, Mi-hyun, is hiding his ability from the world. She moves them to a remote place where she rents a property from a man, paying him a large sum and asking him to leave for 3 years. She wants to live quietly with her son while she teaches him to stay grounded. Years later, they move to a new place and open a restaurant. Kim isn't allowed to play with other kids, though he longs to. One day, he sneaks out to a playground where he watches a boy jump from a tall metal structure while other kids cheer him on. Kim climbs the structure and jumps too, but instead of landing, he begins to fly, amazing the kids below. An odd-looking man observes this from a black car. The next day, Kim's teacher complains to Mi-hyun because a boy got seriously injured trying to copy Kim's jump. Mi-hyun scolds her son for revealing his powers, explaining that a true hero understands others' feelings and cares for them. That night, a sad Kim stands on the roof, crying in the rain, and starts floating again due to his heightened emotions. He manages to grab a string nearby, and his mother arrives just in time to save him. Years later, Kim wakes up from a dream. His mother makes him a hearty meal, and he eats a lot to gain weight. Mi-hyun even packs extra weights in his bag to help him stay grounded. Kim heads to school by bus, where he notices a girl running to catch the bus. He's immediately drawn to her. The girl, Hee-soo, comes from a poor family and doesn't have money for the bus fare, so Kim pays for her. On the bus, Kim becomes emotional being near Hee-soo and starts to float. To stop it, he closes his eyes and distracts himself by mentally reciting the digits of pi. At school, he drinks lots of water to make himself heavier. Hee-soo, it turns out, is in his class. The weights his mother packed are no longer enough to counteract his emotions around Hee-soo, so he needs more. Hee-soo is a transfer student and still wearing her old school uniform. She introduces herself and sits near Kim, causing him to lose focus. Again, he mentally recites the digits of pi to ground himself. Later, their teacher, Mr. Choi, suggests that Hee-soo should focus on sports because of her physical abilities. He asks the class president, Gang-hoon, to show her the gym. Gang-hoon takes Hee-soo to the gym and then speaks to Mr. Choi, expressing concern for her. He suggests Hee-soo should study other subjects, but Mr. Choi insists he knows what's best for her. He explains that Hee-soo's father is very poor and can't even afford her new uniform, so paying for other subjects would be out of the question. Mr. Choi believes excelling in sports could earn her a scholarship. The next day, as Kim heads to school, it starts raining heavily. From the bus window, he sees Hee-soo running in the rain, wearing a raincoat. Both Kim and Hee-soo arrive late and rush to the school gate. Hee-soo accidentally bumps into Kim, causing him to briefly float before falling to the ground, injuring his knee. The teacher agrees to let them pass through the gate, but only on the condition that they both clean the bathrooms after class. They both accept and head to class. During the lesson, Hee-soo starts to feel self-conscious, thinking she might smell, so she asks Kim for an extra school shirt. Kim kindly offers her his shirt, and Hee-soo heads to the bathroom to change. Meanwhile, Gang-hoon is secretly watching Hee-soo walk toward the bathroom area. Another boy, Bang Ki-soo, is also watching her closely. Seeing this, Gang-hoon confronts Ki-soo, stopping him from continuing to look at Hee-soo. It becomes clear that Gang-hoon has feelings for her. Annoyed by Gang-hoon's interference, Bang Ki-soo challenges him to a fight. The two boys head to the forest behind the school, where they begin their fight. Despite his calm appearance, Gang-hoon quickly shows that he's much stronger than Ki-soo, defeating him with ease. It turns out Gang-hoon has unique abilities, making him far more powerful than he seems. After the fight, Gang-hoon helps Ki-soo back into the forest, leaving him injured. Back in class, Mr. Choi continues his lesson, but toward the end, he calls Gang-hoon to his office. Meanwhile, Kim and Hee-soo leave to have lunch together. As they eat, Kim notices the injured Ki-soo walking by on the road. Curious, he considers asking Ki-soo what happened, but Hee-soo stops him, reminding him that Ki-soo isn't his friend. Later, Hee-soo and Kim return to school since they have to clean the bathrooms. On the way, Hee-soo tries to ask Kim about his secret, but he dodges the question. While Kim cleans, Hee-soo goes to fetch some ointment to treat a wound Kim got earlier at the school gate. When she gently touches his arm, Kim's emotions for her surge uncontrollably. He tries to hide his feelings, but struggles to contain them. Fortunately for him, Hee-soo leaves the room just as Kim starts to float into the air. At the restaurant, Mi-hyun is extremely busy with customers, while Hee-soo's father, Jang-won, is facing the opposite situation. His business is struggling, with no customers or delivery orders, even though he has everything prepared. By the end of the day, with no sales, Jang-yo eats all the leftover chicken legs himself, pretending that he did well for Hee-soo's sake. Hee-soo, understanding her father's hardship, reassures him by sharing her plans to apply through a sports-based quota so that he won't need to work as hard. Meanwhile, a man named Frank lands at the airport, where a delivery van is waiting for him. He changes clothes and finds a file in the van containing a list of his targets, people he is tasked with killing. Frank heads to his first target and engages in a fight. Frank possesses unique abilities, healing from injuries quickly. His target, an old man named Junin, is also quite powerful, but in the end, Frank defeats him. When Junin asks why Frank is killing him, Frank replies that it's because Junin is now retired. Frank then throws Junin off a tall building, killing him. Mi-hyun later sees posts about Junin's unusual death and notices the delivery van parked nearby. She takes out her weapons and begins preparing them, as though gearing up for an upcoming battle. When Mi-hyun investigates the crime scene, she spots another delivery man. It's Jang-yo, Hee-soo's father. Frank, now targeting another old man with the ability to control electricity, switches off the power to make things harder for him. The old man uses a battery to keep the fight going, but once the battery runs out, Frank smiles and quickly overpowers him, killing him inside his library and setting it on fire. While searching the scene, Frank finds a photo of the old man's son, but no further information. That night, Frank watches the school, believing the old man's son attended there. However, the guard forces Frank to leave empty-handed. Afterward, the guard calls someone to report the suspicious man. The next morning, the guard installs a security camera at the school gate. Kim notices that their bus driver has changed, but he still boards the bus. He sees Hee-soo running toward the school in a raincoat. Later, Hee-soo practices for her running exam on the school track, but the lights are off. Kim quietly watching and switches on all the lights in the school to help her with her practice run. Later, Mr. Choi is teaching Hee-soo about jumping techniques and how to throw a ball to cover a long distance. Due to the training, Hee-soo arrives late at the dining hall, and by the time she gets there, the meal service is over. Seeing this, Kim offers her some of his food. Afterward, Mr. Choi asks Gang-hoon to turn on the fans in the gym to ensure Hee-soo doesn't get too hot while practicing. Gang-hoon takes the keys, switches on the fans, and quietly watches Hee-soo for a while. Meanwhile, Kim arrives and sees Hee-soo practicing her high jumps. Suddenly, she slips and falls. Seeing this, Kim rushes toward her to save her, but also ends up falling. Gang-hoon observes the entire situation and realizes Kim's secret. Thankfully, Hee-soo is unharmed. Hee-soo later asks Kim to help her with her workout, specifically her crunches, because of his size and strength. However, the close proximity makes Kim lose control of his emotions, and he starts to float again. He tries to focus and calm himself by thinking of random things, but when he opens his eyes and sees Hee-soo so close to him, he floats higher and eventually falls a distance away. Hee-soo rushes over to help him, but before they can finish, the cleaning lady arrives, so they quickly leave the gym. Gang-hoon, who witnessed everything, grows increasingly frustrated with both of them. He longs to be the one who spends time with Hee-soo and showcases his abilities. In his anger, he punches the wall after performing a high jump. The next day, Hee-soo is very curious about Kim's ability to float. She tries to ask him about it, but Kim evades her questions. Determined, Hee-soo sends him to the gym to fetch her shoes, and she secretly follows him. Once he retrieves her shoes, they sit on the stairs, and Kim puts his bag aside while searching for something. At that moment, Hee-soo touches his injured knee to apply a plaster. This triggers Kim's emotions again, and without his heavy bag to ground him, he starts floating. Hee-soo helps him get back down and places the bag around his shoulders to weigh him down. Meanwhile, all of this is being recorded by the CCTV cameras, and the security guard is closely monitoring their actions. Later, Hee-soo accompanies Kim home, continually helping him stay grounded every time he starts to float due to his emotions. When they arrive at Kim's house, his mother, Mi-hyun, warmly welcomes Hee-soo. She's happy that her son has finally made a friend, as it's the first time Kim has brought someone home. Mi-hyun offers them a meal, and Hee-soo calls her father to let him know she'll be staying at her friend's house for a while. At the same time, her father, Jang-yo, is thrilled to have received his first ever food delivery order at a mobile shop. At Kim's house, Mi-hyun serves them a lot of food. Kim explains that his mother always gives him large portions, which is why he's gained weight. He then shows Hee-soo his room, which is covered in foam to prevent him from getting hurt whenever he accidentally floats due to his uncontrollable abilities. His mother took great care in setting up the room for him since his childhood. Hee-soo now understands Kim's feelings for her, so she playfully teases him by getting close to him. Overwhelmed by his emotions, Kim ends up floating again, nearly hitting the ceiling. Hee-soo then hands him a heavy object to help him stay grounded, and she reveals that she has feelings for him too. Meanwhile, Mi-hyun, using her keen instincts, senses the growing closeness between her son and Hee-soo, but she chooses not to interfere. She even suggests that Kim escort Hee-soo to the bus stop when she's ready to leave. Kim, realizing his mother's advice is sound, quickly grabs his raincoat and rushes out to find Hee-soo. To fly and reach her, he has to shed some extra weight, and eventually, he catches up with her at the bus stop. Meanwhile, Frank is targeting an elderly woman for his next kill. She is a barber, and Frank pretends to be a customer wanting a haircut. He starts asking her about her children, which makes the woman suspicious. Sensing danger, she suddenly stabs Frank in the head with 2 pairs of scissors. However, Frank has the ability to heal quickly. The woman is also special, with the power to see through walls and doors, and she puts up a tough fight. But in the end, Frank overpowers her. He tries to ask again about her children, but when she refuses to tell him, Frank kills her, saying he will find them at her funeral. At the same time, Jangu arrives at the building to deliver food. He encounters Frank and asks him where the mobile shop is located. Frank tells him and then leaves. Jangu goes to the shop to deliver the food, but forgets the credit card machine. He asks the shopkeeper to come to him later for payment. The shopkeeper mocks Jangu, but he doesn't react. The next day, Kim is heading to school despite it being a holiday. He tells his mother there are extra classes, but in truth, he's going to help Hee-soo with her training at the gym. When they both arrive, they notice a handprint on the gym wall. Hee-soo thinks Kim made it because he can float, but he denies it. Kim then asks Hee-soo how she managed to accept his floating ability so easily, as most people wouldn't understand. Hee-soo reveals she has a secret of her own that she hasn't told anyone. Hee-soo asks Kim to promise to keep her secret if she shares it. He agrees, and Hee-soo asks if he ever found it odd that a new student joined their class during their senior year, which is uncommon. Kim suspects it might be because she was involved in fights at her previous school. Hee-soo admits he's right, but says there's more to the story. In a flashback, we see Hee-soo and her father living in a remote area after her mother passed away in an accident. Her father worked in a mine, and Hee-soo attended school. At that school, a group of bullies often targeted a wealthy girl named Shin Hae-won, stealing her belongings and mocking her. When she complained to the teachers, they only gave the bullies a warning. This made the bullies even angrier, and one day, they cornered Hae-won, with one of the bullies brandishing a knife to threaten her. A student tried to defend Hae-won, but a fight broke out, and the bully's boyfriends beat the student. The girls then poured water on Hae-won, mocking her further. Until this moment, Hee-soo had stayed silent, but she couldn't anymore. She challenged the bullies to a fight outside. Despite being bitten and attacked with knives, Hee-soo's wounds healed almost instantly, shocking the bullies. She overpowered them, leaving them beaten. The next day, Hee-soo was expelled from the school. The teachers believed she had started the fight, as she had no visible injuries, so they didn't view it as self-defense. To pay for the medical bills of the injured students, Hee-soo's father had to sell their house, leaving them with no money. They had to move, and Hee-soo transferred to a new school. Outside the school, Hee-soo asked her father about her condition, wondering why she didn't get hurt and healed so quickly. Her father explained that she was special, a gifted child, and that her mother had wanted to keep this secret from her. That's why he never told her until now. Back in the present, Hee-soo finished telling her story to Kim. She also explains that she was approached by the old man we've seen keeping an eye on Kim. This man named Jo Rae-hyuk is the principal of Kim's school. He offered Hee-soo a chance to graduate from his school, which is how she ended up there. The following morning, Jangu returns to the mobile shop to collect payment from the shopkeeper. However, he notices that someone was killed in the building the night before, and high-ranking officials from the National Intelligence Services are investigating the scene. Mr. Min's secretary informs him about the recent fatalities among individuals with unique abilities. Understanding the powers of those who have died, Mr. Min expresses concern over their untimely deaths and suspects that the CIA may be involved. At that moment, Principal Jo Rae-hyuk enters the office to update Mr. Min on his latest assignment. He is leading a project known as the National Talent Development Project, aimed at identifying children with special abilities. This explains why at least 3 students with unique talents have been seen at his school. Mr. Min shares the news of the recent deaths of former agents who have become targets of the CIA, suggesting that the deceased might have children enrolled at Jo Rae-hyuk's school. Mr. Min advises him to remain vigilant. The next day, Frank attends the funeral of the old barber, attempting to gather information about the deceased woman's biological child, but finds no leads. Among the mourners is the son of the electric man Frank killed earlier, named Jeon Gae-do, who possesses the ability to manipulate electric currents. As Frank leaves the funeral home, he does so without any valuable information. We then shift to Jeon's backstory. Currently a bus driver, he faced many struggles during his childhood when his special abilities first manifested in class. Eventually, he transferred to Jo Rae-hyuk's school, where Mr. Choi encouraged him to train for admission through the sports quota. Even though he showed no interest in sports, he dedicated himself to the effort, but on graduation day, Mr. Choi surprised him by suggesting a major in mass communications. Ultimately, Jeon auditioned for a superhero role in a children's show called Bungan, where he wowed the judges with his electrical abilities. He landed the role and quickly gained popularity among kids. However, one day, a torn glove during a live performance caused electric surges, frightening the children and forcing him to resign. Afterward, Jeon's father motivated him to reapply for jobs, but he faced constant rejection. One day, while dining at a restaurant, he noticed a bus driver distressed over a dead battery. Using his electric abilities, Jeon helped recharge the battery, much to the driver's delight. Since the driver owned the bus, he offered Jeon a job. From that day on, Jeon has been driving the bus and encounters Kim daily on his route to school. Currently, Jeon is furious over his father's murderer and seeks vengeance. His boss suggests taking a few days off, but Jeon prefers to keep himself occupied by driving the bus. The next day, Kisu returns to school after a prolonged absence due to a severe beating from Gang-hoon. There is also a new student who has transferred from another school, Shin Hae-won, the wealthy girl whom Hee-soo defended in her previous school. During lunch, Hae-won joins Kim and Hee-soo, quickly forming a friendship with them. A student vlogger approaches their table and shares the tension brewing between Kisu and Gang-hoon. Meanwhile, Kisu takes his leftover food and throws it onto Gang-hoon's plate, then disrespectfully places Gang-hoon's glasses into the same plate. Kisu asserts that he isn't afraid of Gang-hoon, insisting that he knows Gang-hoon won't attack him in public and declares his intention to expose Gang-hoon soon. Kim retrieves the glasses from the plate and cleans them. Hee-soo returns the glasses to Gang-hoon, encouraging him by saying he handled the situation well by avoiding a fight with Kisu. Rather than retaliate, Gang-hoon maintained his composure, which was the best course of action. Grateful for Hee-soo's support, Gang-hoon thanks him for returning his glasses before departing. In the gymnasium at the NIS, Mr. Min's secretary informs him that Frank has been dispatched by the CIA to eliminate all retired special agents. Mr. Min instructs her to summon the US ambassador to his office. Meanwhile, in the gym, Kim is playing some music for Hee-soo, and they share a moment of closeness. However, just as Kim is about to lift off again, Hee-soo places weight on him. Kim leaves his phone, which is still playing music, for Hee-soo as he heads off to class. When he returns, he finds the phone has powered off due to a dead battery. Anxious because his mother has firmly instructed him not to turn off his phone, he rushes home to avoid worrying her. On the bus, Kim encounters Jeon and expresses that he missed him while he was away from driving. Meanwhile, Frank has received authorization to target his next victim, Kim's mother, Mi-hyun. Gang-hoon also arrives home and meets his father, who possesses special abilities but is on probation and restricted to the house. At the same time, Jangu has bought a new phone for his daughter. The scene then shifts to Mi-hyun, who is busy at her restaurant when Frank arrives. She immediately recognizes him as the killer from seeing his fan at previous murder scenes. She texts Kim, advising him to stay away from home for a while, and begins preparing a meal for Frank. However, since Kim is dead, he doesn't receive the message and walks directly into the restaurant. Mi-hyun pretends Kim is just another customer, instructing him to take a seat while she fetches his meal. In reality, she retrieves her gun and hides it beneath her apron. While Frank converses with Kim about school, the CIA ambassador arrives at Mr. Min's office. Initially, the ambassador feigns ignorance, but Mr. Min presents evidence of CIA involvement in the recent deaths of retired special agents. Conceding, the ambassador admits that they have indeed dispatched an agent. Mr. Min then demands that the ambassador put a stop to the agent's mission. Otherwise, he will contact China and both nations will retaliate. Back at the restaurant, Frank finishes his meal and prepares to begin his mission when he receives a message from the ambassador to hold off. He pays for his meal and leaves without completing his task. Meanwhile, Mi-hyun is furious with Kim for disobeying her orders not to come home. Kim explains that his phone is dead, but Mi-hyun is too angry to listen to his excuses. He attempts to discuss the man he saw in the restaurant, but Mi-hyun remains silent. As Frank drives back in his van, the ambassador texts him about his next target, playing a double game. Unfortunately, the next target is Hee-soo. Frank quickly makes a U-turn and nearly collides with Ji-yeon's bus. Fortunately, Ji-yeon manages to brake just in time and recognizes Frank as his father's murderer. Angered, Ji-yeon chases after him, ramming his bus into Frank's van and demanding that he stop. Frank leads him into the wilderness, and when Ji-yeon follows, Frank suddenly crashes his van into the bus. Ji-yeon takes out a battery cell and attempts to use its electric charge to attack Frank. Overwhelmed with rage over his father's killer, he finds himself too weak to confront Frank effectively. Despite his efforts to fight back, Ji-yeon is overpowered, and when the battery cell runs out of charge, he is left feeling powerless against Frank. After that, Frank heads to Jangu's shop, but Jangu is not there. He notices an order receipt on the table, indicating that Jangu has gone out to deliver food. Frank quickly jumps into his van and drives off to find him. Upon arriving, Frank crashes his van into Jangu's motorcycle and then repeatedly runs over Jangu, ensuring he is dead. Afterward, Frank returns to the wilderness and texts his boss to report that the job is done. At that moment, Jangu emerges from beneath the van and smashes the window to pull Frank out of the vehicle. Jangu has the ability to heal quickly, which is why he survived such a brutal attack. Jangu then looks through the file in Frank's van, which contains a list of targets, including Frank and others who worked in secret agencies and possess special abilities. Meanwhile, Frank regains consciousness and attacks Jangu, leading to a fierce fight. Both have the ability to heal their wounds rapidly, but this time Jangu proves to be stronger. He lands several punches on Frank's face, making it appear that Frank is truly defeated. Jangu then retrieves the target list documents and sets them ablaze, along with Frank's van while Frank's body is still inside. Afterward, Jangu returns to his restaurant and eats his meal, his shirt completely stained with blood, yet his wounds heal quickly, leaving him looking fresh. The following morning, Mi-hyun prepares Kim for school and gives him a power bank to charge his phone when needed. She reminds him to stay in touch and to come straight home after class. In school, after the teacher finishes, Hee-soo asks him for help in the gym, but he declines, stating he needs to go home early to focus on his studies. With exams approaching, Hee-soo decides to practice alone and doesn't bother Kim anymore. The night before the exam, Hee-soo texts Kim to wish him luck for the next day. Seeing her message brings him joy, and she asks him to look out the window, where she is standing at a distance and waving. Kim, inheriting his mother's abilities, can see her clearly from afar. Noticing Hee-soo alone, he jumps down and joins her. Hee-soo expresses that Kim has always been there for her when she needed someone, which is why she wanted to wish him well tonight. Otherwise, she wouldn't have disturbed him. Hee-soo picks up a nearby large stone and places it on Kim's lap. Then, she confesses that she really likes him. To make the moment even more special, it starts to snow, and both students feel a wave of happiness. The next day is the sports examination, and everyone is buzzing with excitement. Kim and Gang-hoon play badminton together, while Hee-soo practices high jump. Each time she jumps and pushes her hand against the height meter, the screws on the metal frame holding the meter loosen. Eventually, as Hee-soo surpasses her personal best and crosses the red line on the meter, the screws come loose and the frame collapses. Hee-soo stands beneath the falling metal frame, and both Gang-hoon and Kim rush to help her. However, Kim struggles to reach her due to his weight, while Gang-hoon manages to arrive just in time to save Hee-soo from the potential disaster. The entire incident is recorded by a vlogger student who, along with other students, is left in awe of Gang-hoon's speed. They can't believe someone could be so fast. Soon, the vlogger uploads the video to social media. Kisoo is pleased that Gang-hoon has gained public recognition. The video circulates throughout the nation. Some viewers think it showcases an incredible athletic feat, while others suspect it's a hoax. The secretary informs Mr. Min about the video, and he becomes angry, realizing it could jeopardize their entire project. Meanwhile, Jangu and Mi-hyun also see the video, and Kim feels downcast for not being able to help Hee-soo. Determined not to fail again, he practices flying. When his mother comes to check on him in his room, she finds he is missing. With the window ajar, Kim must be outside. She steps out and sees Kim attempting to practice his abilities, but he keeps tumbling to the ground. Upon noticing his mother, he falls again. She asks what he's doing outside, to which Kim responds that he wishes to fly. He expresses regret for not being able to save Hee-soo, attributing his failure to his mother keeping him grounded. He feels as if he is constantly tethered, and now desires freedom to reach for the sky. Mi-hyun, touched by his words, weeps and tells him he wants to be like his father. It's the first time Mi-hyun has mentioned Kim's father, who also had the ability to fly like Kim, but ultimately, it didn't serve him well. As Mi-hyun reminisces about his father, she begins to cry. This triggers a memory in Kim of how flying was not just a dream, but a cherished memory from his childhood when he flew with his father. A few years prior, Kim's father, Kim Do-shik, is seen flying alone in an airplane. He reaches the cockpit to warn the pilots about a bomb on board and urges them to land immediately, but they fail to understand him. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the plane, igniting a fire that engulfs it. Kim Do-shik feels immense sorrow, realizing the lives lost due to the bomb. He was a top agent for the National Intelligence Services, possessing special abilities, and Mi-hyun also worked there in the information department. One day, Mr. Min, their boss, summons Mi-hyun to assign her a new mission. She had previously failed in a mission where her team was tasked with identifying a traitor at an event. Although Mi-hyun sang beautifully there, the operation turned chaotic when the team began firing on innocent people in pursuit of the traitor. Defying her commanding officer's orders, she opted to deploy a sound wave grenade instead of the smoke grenade she was instructed to use. The sound waves distracted her teammates, allowing her to help the innocent escape. Deep down, she is a good-hearted person who prioritizes doing what's right, even against orders. At NIS, Mr. Min recognizes Mi-hyun's unique abilities, her keen senses, and adaptability. Despite her skills, her mission to find the traitor was unsuccessful, prompting Mr. Min to give her another chance. This time, she must get close to an agent named Kim Do-shik, make him fall in love, and extract secret information from him. Starting the next day, Mi-hyun frequently passes by Kim Do-shik in the department. Each time he arrives, she receives a call from the gate guard, prompting her to rush to the elevator with files or linger near the coffee machine to wait for her target. Kim Do-shik notices her presence and recognizes Mi-hyun and her car in the garage on several occasions. One day, while Mi-hyun is at the coffee machine, Kim Do-shik approaches her, clearly drawn to her. They greet each other for the first time and share a coffee. From that point on, whenever Mi-hyun carries files to the elevator, Kim Do-shik assists her, often walking her to her workstation. They begin enjoying coffee together regularly. However, one day, Kim Do-shik reveals he's aware that Mi-hyun was observing him. He noticed she consistently carried the same files, raising his suspicions. Nonetheless, he acts normally due to his genuine attraction to her. With her mission now in jeopardy, Mi-hyun anticipates criticism from her boss, but Kim Do-shik invites her to dinner to lighten the mood. They share a large donut at the restaurant. The following day, while at the coffee machine, Mi-hyun admits that the most challenging part of her mission has been drinking coffee, which she dislikes, but has had to consume frequently for Kim Do-shik's sake. She confides that she plans to inform Mr. Min about her mission failure, but Kim Do-shik stops her, wanting to maintain their current dynamic. He discloses that he knew about Mi-hyun even before their encounters at the department. He noticed her during the mission to apprehend the traitor, where Mi-hyun assisted innocent people in escaping to save their lives. He watched her from outside the window, standing and aiming a gun at her, wanting to help the innocent victims, just as Mi-hyun had done. Perhaps that was what drew Kim Do-shik to her. Now, he hopes she will continue to act as a spy because it would allow him to relay the information Mr. Min desires, while also shielding Mi-hyun from her boss's harsh treatment. The next day, Mr. Min summons Mi-hyun. Upon entering his office, she spots some confidential cassettes that she's unaware of. Mr. Min inquires about the status of her mission, to which Mi-hyun responds that she's making progress. Having grown closer to Kim Do-shik, yet she still hasn't uncovered any secrets, Mr. Min instructs her to persist and find the information he seeks as soon as possible. In reality, He himself isn't certain about what specific secret he's after. He simply recognizes Kim Do-shik's competence and wants to uncover his capabilities. Mi-hyun listens intently to their entire conversation before leaving. She then offers some fashion tips and advice on coffee preparation to Mr. Min's secretary, who expresses immense gratitude for her insights. That night, while working late in her office alone, Mi-hyun hears strange whispers. When she looks out the window, she's astonished to see Kim Do-shik hovering at the 5th floor level. Quickly, she opens the door to let him in. He surprises her with donuts and reveals that his secret is that he can fly. Afterward, he hands her the food and exits through the window. Mi-hyun enjoys her snack at her desk and also possesses special abilities, including exceptional long-distance vision. She removes her glasses and spots Kim Do-shik seated atop a tall tower, relishing his own meal. Next, we see Kim Do-shik during shooting practice, where he excels at targeting a specific spot on a body that temporarily paralyzes his enemies without killing them. He repeatedly shoots at the same mark with perfect accuracy, leaving his assistant Hwan in awe of his precision. Later that night, Kim Do-shik returns to see Mi-hyun, but she's engrossed in her work. He waits patiently for a long while, his heartbeat becoming erratic, which Mi-hyun senses. She then confides in him that she has heightened perceptions compared to average people, even being able to recognize his heartbeat at that moment, and she can mimic it. This revelation leads to a tender moment where they share a kiss, and as their emotions rise, Kim Do-shik begins to levitate while they kiss. Afterward, they take a stroll outside, enjoying the lovely weather and having cheerful conversations. The following day, Mr. Min calls Mi-hyun again to report on her mission. This time, she is aware of Kim Do-shik's secret, but she tells Mr. Min that she hasn't discovered it yet. Surprisingly, Mr. Min doesn't react negatively. Instead, he informs her that her mission is complete, and she is no longer required to do anything. In fact, he has already uncovered Kim Do-shik's secret, having monitored him from various angles since the traitor mission incident. He knows that both Kim Do-shik and Mi-hyun defied his orders during that mission. To Mr. Min, the loss of many innocent lives is insignificant compared to capturing a single traitor, which he deems a trivial sacrifice. Now, he suspects Mi-hyun is lying to him and believes she is fully aware of Kim Do-shik's secret. When Mr. Min and the secretary leave his office after serving coffee, Mr. Min discusses Mi-hyun's deception with another superior agent. The secretary overhears this exchange and informs Mi-hyun over the phone that Mr. Min is aware of her lie. She relays this information out of gratitude for Mi-hyun's previous advice regarding her attire and coffee preparation. Upon hearing this, Mi-hyun checks for hidden cameras and discovers one near her workstation, as well as another in the coffee machine where she and Kim Do-shik frequently conversed. Consequently, Mr. Min contacts Mi-hyun and reprimands her for concealing the truth from him. She faces a further decline in her reputation and career within the agency. That night, Kim Do-shik visits Mi-hyun, but he keeps his distance to avoid being detected. He gazes at her as if he's traveling to a distant place. The next day, news breaks in the department that the president of North Korea has passed away. The information quickly spreads across the nation, with newspapers reporting that the cause of death was a heart attack. However, Mr. Min possesses information that the public is unaware of, and he is furious with his agent for failing to follow orders once again. He suspects that Kim Do-shik might be responsible for the murder and has since gone missing. Consequently, Mr. Min assigns several agents to monitor Mi-hyun and to search for Kim Do-shik throughout the country. Days later, while Mi-hyun is at home during a heavy rainstorm, Kim Do-shik reappears through her window after his long absence. Overcome with emotion at his return, Mi-hyun embraces him tightly, but she is being watched, and there are numerous rifle scopes aimed at Kim Do-shik's back. Suddenly, other agents arrive to arrest him on the spot. The narrative then shifts to the younger days of Jangu, who worked for a casino owner. One day, he receives a message from the owner informing him that a gang has taken control of their casino with a large group of men, making it difficult to remove them. Jangu confronts the gang and fights them off single-handedly. In a desperate attempt to intimidate the gangster, he even injures himself by exposing his gallbladder. Ultimately, he succeeds in reclaiming the casino, and everyone praises his remarkable feat. Later, while in the restroom, Jangu-won's assistant, Min-ji, comes to help him remove the knife wounds. A few days later, he discovers that his boss is planning to collaborate with the gangster, and they are celebrating their newfound partnership. Jangu-won is invited to the party, but he feels angry about their alliance and refuses to join them. Outside the casino, Jangu-won meets Min-ji, who takes him to a restaurant for his favorite meal. The casino owner is also there, pretending to resolve their disputes. In reality, Minji has spiked their drinks to knock them out. When Jangu regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up in the backseat of a car with his boss. The gangster is present and is about to push the car into the water. He accuses Jangu of being a monster, but Jangu claims the real monster is his boss, who betrayed him, and Minji, who drugged him. With a final shove, the car plunges into the water. Inside, Jangu manages to break his hands free from the handcuffs and releases himself from the ropes around his neck. He emerges from the water, goes straight to the casino, and confronts the gangster. However, Minji pleads for his life. Jangu shows some mercy, inflicting only a superficial injury on him with his handcuffs before leaving the casino. Currently, Mr. Min arrives at the scene, seeking the man known as the monster. Minji shares the entire story of Jangu with him, and then leads Mr. Min to Jangu. In the meantime, Jangu has been living in a motel alone, rarely venturing out unless the owner requests payment. He goes out onto the street and pretends to be injured when a car hits him, demanding money from the driver to avoid going to the police. This way, Jangu earns money to cover his motel expenses. He also encounters a woman who frequently visits the hotel to serve coffee to the guests. He notices someone behaving poorly in the hotel, but chooses not to react. One day, while trying to earn some money on the street, he is struck by a car. The driver doesn't stop and instead flees the scene, prompting Jangu to chase after him, claiming he will sue for hit and run. At that moment, the coffee lady arrives on her scooter and offers her assistance, but Jangu declines, saying he only needs to know where the police station is since he struggles with directions. The coffee lady points him in the right direction, which he quickly forgets. After wandering around aimlessly for a while, he becomes overwhelmed and begins to cry on the street. Fortunately, the coffee lady passes by again and sees him. This time, she takes Jangu with her on her scooter. Her name is Hwang Ji-hee, and Jangu is completely smitten with her. Back at his apartment, he calls the coffee shop to order coffee for his room. While waiting, he shaves and prepares to welcome Ji-hee. Unfortunately, another woman delivers the coffee instead. He gulps it down and orders again, but once more, it isn't Ji-hee who arrives. After another order, he gets lucky. Ji-hee herself brings the coffee this time. Jangu is overjoyed and warmly welcomes her into his room. He offers her some money to stay and chat, which makes her a bit anxious, but she agrees to stay until he finishes his coffee before leaving. As she exits, Jangu asks her to return whenever he places an order. At the coffee shop, Ji-hee tells the owner that Jangu is completely infatuated with her and insists on being sent whenever he orders coffee. The following day, the owner sends Ji-hee again to deliver coffee to Jangu, and she spends a lot of time with him, discussing various topics while enjoying coffee together daily. However, Jangu spends all his money on coffee and soon finds himself broke. While he is out of the hotel, some thugs from a nearby room order coffee, and Ji-hee goes to serve them. However, the thugs start harassing her, prompting Ji-hee to stand up for herself. At that moment, Jangu returns and hears Ji-hee's cries. He rushes into the adjacent room, determined to break through the wall as the thugs refuse to open the door. Eventually, he succeeds in smashing through. Once inside, one of the bullies hurls a wine bottle at Jangu, but he remains calm despite getting injured. He takes down each thug one by one, piling their bodies into a corner. He then instructs the owner to lock the door and keep the incident a secret. The owner, intimidated by Jangu, agrees without hesitation. Later, Jangu warns Ji-hee to be careful of dangerous individuals. Meanwhile, the gang of thugs arrives at the hotel, seeking revenge for their fallen comrades. They assault Jangu brutally, but he endures the blows and retaliates fiercely. He fights off over 100 men in the motel, despite the weapons used against him. Just when he finishes dealing with one thug, another comes at him. At that moment, Minji is outside with Mr. Min, demonstrating Jangu strength. As Jangu falls from a building, he spots Minji sitting in a car outside and throws a baseball bat straight through Minji's windshield, narrowly missing his face. Meanwhile, more of Minji's men are sent to kill Jangu, forcing him to flee into the narrow streets. To save himself, Mr. Min instructs his associate, Kim Do-shik, to recruit Jangu into their team, believing he would be an asset. Meanwhile, Ji-hee returns home from the hospital after receiving treatment for her injuries. She learns that Jang-woo-won was attacked at the hotel by a group of gangsters, which makes her anxious for his safety. Without hesitation, she rushes out to find him. Spotting Jang-woo-won being chased down the street by several goons, she invites him to hop on her scooter. Jang-woo-won hesitates, worried about putting Ji-hee in danger, but she boldly shouts to the gangsters that she is Jang-woo-won's girlfriend. Hearing this, Jang-woo-won quickly climbs onto the scooter, urging her to get away. They ride out of the city together on the scooter, and Jang-woo-won expresses his gratitude to Ji-hee for saving him. Suddenly, a van comes barreling down the road and collides forcefully with their scooter. Jang-woo-won instinctively shields Ji-hee to prevent her from sustaining serious injuries during the fall. As he stands up, he sees the van preparing to hit him again. Jang-woo-won charges at the vehicle, smashing through the front windshield, then yanks the steering wheel, causing the van to tumble into the nearby valley. At that moment, Min-ji arrives and aims a gun at Jang-woo-won, intent on ending his life. Just as he is about to pull the trigger, a bullet suddenly strikes Min-ji in the head, fired by someone behind him. It's Kim Do-shik, who has been observing the scene from a distance. Jang-woo-won joins the NIS and begins working under Kim Do-shik, who instructs him to follow all of his orders. Later, Jang-woo-won and Ji-hee get married and welcome their daughter Hee-soo into the world. Tragically, Ji-hee dies in a car accident, but she passes away with a smile, knowing she is watching her daughter heal her wounds just like her father. Jang-woo-won takes full responsibility for Hee-soo, and they begin to live happily together as a family. So guys, this is the concludes of the story. Now subscribe for the second part, and see another cool videos.